Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Fox Sports.
The Bronx Bombers took over the Trop last night, blasting 5 home runs on their way to an 11-5 victory. Tonight, Rays right-hander Chris Archer goes to the hill for Tampa Bay, sporting an unblemished 5-0 career record versus the Pinstripes. Last night's game at Tropicana Field, the series opener turned out to be a match of home run derby. The Rays dropped that one 5 home runs to 2 and an 11-5 score. And tonight, this is game 2 of the 4-game series. Hi again, everyone, with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, the Yankee bats were certainly out last night. Even their outs were hit hard. And tonight, it's going to be Chris Archer's job to try to put the stop to this mighty lineup the Yankees displayed last night.
Yeah, they took it to the Rays last night, and it was the power game, but nothing new for this Yankee ball club. Right now, they sit at 43 home runs. That's good enough for second in the American League, and they put on a show last night. 5 home runs hit by 5 different Yankees, and they hit them all over the ballpark. They went out to right field. They went out to dead center. They went out to left field. This is a very powerful lineup, and if you leave pitches out over the plate, they showed you last night exactly what they were capable of. Now, the antidote for the Rays tonight is going to be Chris Archer, who has been on really a historic run against the New York Yankees in 6 career starts. Look at those numbers. 5-0 on the record, an ERA of 1.93, and better yet, he's averaged 7 innings per start. The key for Archer, and he said it himself, he said, I need to get back into the zone. I get back into the zone early in at-bats. I can use my changeup and my slider for late chases. That's how you get this Yankee team out.
Archer trying to rebound from last Thursday's outing, in which he gave up 5 runs in a little over 3 innings to the Texas Rangers. Hey, by the way, we had Kevin Kiermaier mic'd up during batting practice today, and we'll hear from him throughout tonight's telecast. Let's listen in right now.
I'm mic'd up right now, so you can't say anything that you don't want anyone else in the universe to hear.
Where Rays fans live.
Come on, man. I'm just out here just showing you guys what I can do with the foosball. Don't give away any secrets. Whole world's watching you.
trying to find out how to beat the New York Yankees here at Tropicana Field. 0-4 so far on the year overall. 1-6 is Tampa Bay their lone win, a 13-inning contest in Yankee Stadium. Kevin Kiermaier was mic'd up in batting practice, and you know if you give yourself your name, your nickname of the Outlaw, you've got a good personality, and that is certainly the case with Kevin Kiermaier. As we had him mic'd up in batting practice, listen in as he talks about one of the big differences of his hometown state of Indiana and also the current state he is living in.
I like Florida, but there's too many things down here that can bite you. Could you grow facial hair this nice? Homer. Don't try to be. Hey, anything you want to say to the kids about Kevin Kiermaier?
No.
At home?
No,
okay.
no.
All right. For all you people out there listening to this right now, I don't have anyone within a 40-foot radius of me. So I got nothing to say. So I'm just going to keep sitting here, rambling on. It's okay. Trying to figure out something funny or amusing to say.
We do hear other funny and amusing sayings and stories and comments from Kevin Kiermaier. We'll play those during the course of tonight's broadcast as the Yankees and Rays are ready for a little baseball. It'll be Nathan Eovaldi for New York. It'll be Chris Archer trying to keep a perfect record against the Yankees next.
Southern Ford dealers, Jacoby Ellsbury making his way to the plate, followed by Gardner and Rodriguez, McCann, Beltran, and Headley down the middle. Drew, Jones, and Gregorius rounding out Joe Girardi's lineup for New York. Yankees are 21-12 coming into play. Running first in the East. The Rays are running second in the East, 4 games back. And here is Ellsbury, who was not in the lineup last night. And he has had his way with Archer throughout his career. That first pitch, a strike, presented by Pinch a Penny. Upstairs, it's 1-1. Here's that Buick big matchup of Ellsbury against Archer, and these are unbelievable numbers. 10 of 15 with a double and a home run.
You want me to give you a glass half full guy?
Absolutely, that's what we're looking for.
Those numbers right there for a glass half full guy say, hey, listen, I've got plenty of ways to not be able to get him out. There's still a few I can try. New sequences, new areas, and that's where you have to go back and not just look at the scouting report on Jacoby Ellsbury, but get personal. Go back and look, what has he done to me? Where has he hurt me when the numbers get to be that egregious?
2-2. Foul right back into the screen. Ellsbury starts the night hitting .341, good enough for third in the American League. And we're going to go all the way out to 3-2.
And that's really good pitch recognition there by Jacoby Ellsbury. A 2-2 breaking ball that's out over the plate, and that was a good take. Very good take.
So he's extended this initial at bat to 7 pitches with a 3-2 count. Brett Gardner on deck.
Your prototypical leadoff hitter. See a lot of pitches. Great on base guy. Stolen base. Flashes a little bit of power.
And a base hit past the diving Forsythe, and Ellsbury is aboard. Prolonged at bat and a base hit to start the game.
Well, and with 2 strikes, Jacoby Ellsbury using the middle of field with authority. He hit this ball hard. Cut down on the stride, quick with the hands. Forsythe almost just off the edge of the glove. Well, then you got to watch him over here at first base.
Yeah, he has 11 stolen bases already and 15 attempts.
4 of those have come against the Rays. He has pushed them, that's for sure.
The pitch to Gardner is high. These 2 hitters, Ellsbury and Gardner, have been very good at setting the table. And they've each got a little pop, and Gardner's certainly showing some home run power. But the 2 can get on base, and they have speed.
And we talked a little bit about this last night. You go out to center field here at Tropicana Field, you've got some juice. And Brett Gardner did just that. 17 home runs a year ago, 3 this year.
Ellsbury goes and stops on a little looper that will fall into short left field. Gardner hit that one as softly as Ellsbury hit his hard. And there are men at first and second. And nobody out.
Well, as Jubal Cabrera over close to second base, and Gardner, as he takes off, just a little slash. It sounded like it broke his bat too, and he barely is able to drop that into shallow left field. And the 2 guys that you really want to focus on and keep off base, well, there they are.
So the Yankees picking up where they left off last night. A threat right here in the first, and this has been a team that is scoring in the first inning like nobody else. And they're threatening in the first tonight. Alex Rodriguez takes a slider for ball 1. They've scored 160 runs this year, and they're first in the major leagues in first inning runs with 32. One and one, a slider.
That pitch just not recognized by Alex Rodriguez. Chris Archer, when he throws that slider and he's good with it, he'll get that depth in the late break. Rodriguez could not hold up.
Good pitch down and away. One of the other things Archer was talking about, he was looking to do a better job with, and that is to keep his pitches in the strike zone, to make them look like strikes during the delivery. He thought he wasn't doing that as much in the Texas outing.
Well, and a pitcher's never going to be completely open. He's going to give you a lot of, I need to, what he means by that is that slider we talk about it in the zone and then out late. The problem with the last 2 outings for Chris and why those pitches haven't stayed in the zone, it's just been a mechanical issue. He's been drifting. His arm has not allowed him to keep that. He fixes the mechanic, that problem will fix itself.
And he misses upstairs with a fastball, walking Alex Rodriguez, and the bases are loaded, pushing Ellsbury to third and Gardner up to second.
These have been the misses that have been characteristic of Chris Archer the last 2 outings. The pitches where he's trying to throw a strike, anything in the zone, and he's missing up, and that's because he's getting quick with the front side of his body and drifting towards home plate early. Looked good early on. That at bat, a little shaky.
Now Brian McCann, big first inning threat by New York, and a fastball misses wide. 10 career grand slams. A 1-1. Right down and in to the slider. Base hit into right. Souza with the pickup. 1 run will score, and the bases remain loaded. McCann strokes a fastball into right to give New York a 1-0 lead.
Tell you what we saw from the Yankee lineup last night, how they seem to be on just about everything. And here in this game, McCann, this ball sinking down and away, and you see he's got enough plate coverage to go down and get this pitch and still get it out to right field on a line. We had a nice at bat by Ellsbury. You had a little flip shot, broken bat by Gardner. Alex Rodriguez working a walk on an elevated fastball, and then McCann, a nice job of hitting right there.
Well, Archer finds himself in a big hole here in the first inning. A run already in with the bases loaded. Nobody out, and Carlos Beltran about to step in. Beltran hitting .219. Had 2 hits last night. Strike 1.
Well, the 1+ for Archer, it looks like early on at least the slider more consistent than it has been. You've seen a couple awkward swings already.
Pitch blocked by Rivera. It's 1-1. Hot shot, base hit into right. Gardner's going to score. Rodriguez stops at third. It's 2-0. And the first 5 men to come to the plate reaching for New York.
Carlos Beltran showing a quick bat. This is another slider. This one does not have the depth of some of the previous ones, and Beltran just pulls the hands in and rifles that ball in the hole. We're just 90 feet at a time for this Yankee lineup so far.
Here's Chase Headley. There's a strike. Headley with 4 home runs, 3 from the left side, including 1 last night in the 4th inning on an Alex Colomé changeup. Facing Chris Archer tonight. Tapper foul. 0-2. Rays will be facing the hard-throwing right-hander Nathan Eovaldi. And this game moves into the bottom of the 1st, with the Rays and Archer looking for the first out here in the top of the 1st.
Well, the pitches from Archer here in the 1st inning, we've seen some really good ones, but that inconsistency in some of the pitches has reared its ugly head. Fastball up, the good curveball to Beltran to start the at-bat, or slider, and then the slider that kind of hung. It's been a mixed bag.
And a cut and a miss. Fastball up, thrown by Headley for the first out.
Well, that's the one thing that Chris Archer can do if he's able to pitch ahead, is elevate the heater mid-90s. See Headley, everything he can do to get up there to it cannot. And boy, that's big with the bases loaded.
Here's Stephen Drew, the second baseman. Drew had a double and a run scored last night. Fastball is up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Rays have Cabrera moving from short to the right side of second base. Drew fouls it the other way, trying to get around on the fastball. A 1-1 count. Headed for the seats the other way.
Well, and he's put himself in position here, 1-2 once again, to go for the strikeout, try to limit the damage. Where he's able to do that and get out of this inning with just the 2 given up, that would be a big victory for the Rays, considering the circumstances. We got to make a pitch here.
The 1-2 down to take the count to 2-2. Evan Longoria and now Rene Rivera headed to the mound as well.
Well, let's take a quick look at the Rays defense as it lines up tonight. In the outfield, left to right, we've got Geyer, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Loney, with Rivera behind the plate. And you wonder what that meeting was all about. With Evan Longoria coming in midstream, something was picked up, something that they're seeing.
2-2, fly ball, center field. Kiermaier's coming in shallow to make the catch. And Alex Rodriguez, who has a little bit of a bad wheel to begin with, will not attempt to score on that fly ball to shallow center.
Yeah, that's the calculated risk that the Yankees take. The throw by Kiermaier was actually about halfway up the line. You don't know that going in. He had good momentum. He's got a good arm. And you're right, Alex Rodriguez does not run like he once did. You'll see the line of the throw here.
Well, he was out in one of the games in their series with Baltimore. And last night kind of tweaked the same leg when he moved up on in indifference late in last night's game. There's a strike to Garrett Jones. Ground ball, right side. Forsythe is there. And the Rays get out of this with minimal damage under the circumstances. 2 for New York. Leaving 3 men aboard. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the first. And the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers has Kevin Kiermaier leading off. Steven Souza Jr. second, and then Evan Longoria, James Loney, Logan Forsythe, and David DeJesus in the middle. DeJesus, the designated hitter, has Drupal Cabrera at short, Brandon Geyer in left, and the number 9 hitter, catcher Rene Rivera.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the New York Yankees, right-hander Nathan Eovaldi. And you can see undefeated on the season, those 3 wins coming in his last 4 starts.
And his first pitch to Kiermaier is in there for a strike and immediately in at 96. And that's the kind of arm strength he takes to the mound. Fly ball into shallow left. And that is Brett Gardner.
Let's take a look at the New York Yankee defense as it lines up tonight. In the outfield, we have from left to right, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran. Across the infield, third to first, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Stephen Drew, and Garrett Jones with Brian McCann behind the plate.
Steven Souza Jr. 1 out, bases empty against Eovaldi. Tap toward third, charged by Headley, and no chance. It was difficult to begin with, and with that little bobble there, no chance.
The second bounce is what did it. Chase Headley was going to have to get to this ball after the first bounce. That was the only shot. Once it got to there, that one right there, forget it. A little bobble, but Souza Jr. at that point already way down the line. Just as good as a little bunt hit right there. Good speed aboard.
Rays have a base runner. And here is Evan Longoria. Evan starts the night hitting .282 with 4 home runs. There's an off-speed pitch for Eovaldi, a slider for a strike.
Mainly fastball slider against the righties. He will sprinkle in the curveball and the split.
And he stays with the off speed there. Changeup. 2 strikes the count. One ball, 2 strikes.
Well, the thing with Eovaldi is not the stuff, it's been the location. You know, he's undefeated, 3-0, ERA under 4, but the league is hitting .321 off of him. 5 home runs. He does miss out over the plate from time to time. You got to cash in.
Move over there. There's one pickoff. And not a lot of running against him.
No, not at all.
Ooh, strike 3 called. Fastball. Boy, that's some low heat.
He lulled him to sleep with the off speed, the sliders, the changeups, and then he comes with 97 low riding across the kneecaps on the outside corner. Boy, that is big time pitch.
Souza aboard on the infield hit. James Loney in the box. And that's a strike. Curveball. Well, we've seen it all. We've seen the fastball. We've seen the slider. We've seen the changeup. And here's the curveball.
And kind of sweeping that pitch down and in. And you're right, not holding anything back tonight.
Fouled out of play.
And you'll see some of these pitchers, they'll come in, you know, fastball, slider, mixing a changeup against the lefties, and then maybe second time through, if they can get away with it, then they bring out first pitch curveball and give you a completely different look. Eovaldi tonight is like, here it is, boys. This is what I'm featuring.
8 pitches in, we've seen the whole of his pitch selection. And Souza is picked off. Second pickoff of the year for Eovaldi. And the Rays' bottom half of the third is complete. A little conversation held between Eovaldi and Adam Hamari, the plate umpire, while the Rays decide whether they're going to go with it or not on the challenge. And the answer is no. He is picked off, Souza at first, and we're going to head into the second. 2-0 New York. by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo Spark, the most affordable watercraft on the water, starting at only $49.99 or as low as $79 a month. Didi Gregorius opening the second. And that pitch in a bit and popping away from Rivera. 1-0. Two and nothing. Well, Archer left the bases loaded in the first inning after the Yankees had scored 2. The first 5 men reached base.
I don't think it's very often you come out of the first inning down 2-0 and claim a victory.
Yep.
But that's really what it was for the Rays on what that inning could have and should have been, really.
It's a strike to Gregorius, 2-2. Ooh, strike 3 call. We looked at a slider that caught the zone.
Well, 3 in a row. And we could tell already that Archer is feeling mighty confident with that pitch. Whenever he's been in trouble, he has gone to it. That was a great one there to finish off that at-bat.
So no sooner than he gets the first out, and here's another challenge for him. Jacoby Ellsbury, who's now 11 of 16 lifetime against him. And he takes a strike. One and one. Yankees come in 9 games over 500, and that matches their high. In most games they've been over 500. To Popper, and that's going to drop. He may have broken his bat on that one, and Kiermaier picks it up. Ellsbury is 2 for 2.
And Chris Archer's saying, what do I have to do? I break the guy's bat on a slider, and he's still able to pop it out there and drop it in, much like Gardner did in his first at-bat.
That has to just drive you crazy.
You have no idea. Bad enough a guy's 11 for 16 off you, and we're not playing backyard Nerf ball. And then you make a pitch that cracks a bat, you get poor contact, and it still drops in. Reaction says it all.
Now Brett Gardner with speed over at first. Upstairs. Well, Gardner, who singled his first time, came in 5 of 15, so he's 6 out of 16 with 2 doubles and 2 triples off Archer. So these 2 guys on base against Archer, not necessarily something new. Well, the Yankees have not been this many games over 500 since September of 2013. They were 9 over on the 21st of September that year. There goes Ellsbury. Pitches the ball. Throws going to get it. He is out at second base. Cabrera puts the tag on him.
It was almost a pitch out. Rene Rivera, because of the pitch, was put into great throwing position, and the Rays catcher able to gun down Ellsbury. Good tag right in the back of that leg.
2 gone, and here's a strike into Gardner. 2-1. Ground ball headed up the middle, and Gardner has a hit. Makes a big turn at first and holds on.
Well, limber up those legs, Rene, because it's just a matter of time before Gardner's going to go here with 2 outs.
6 hits for the Yankees. They are swinging the bats. Alex Rodriguez walked in the first, and now he's up here in the second inning again. First pitch, a strike. Fastball around 94. Two. So the fastball and the slider, and a 2-strike count. Back in. Fastball is fouled back. Alex Rodriguez back after last year's suspension. And this year at the Trop, he's led the charge for New York, 6 of 14 with 3 home runs. The Rays 1-6 against the Yankees in the season series, and they're 0-4 against the Yankees here at the Trop. Runner goes, pitches down, throw in time, and he guns down Gardner. Forsythe puts the tag on him. Rene Rivera throws out Jacoby Ellsbury and Brett Gardner. And the top of the second inning is over.
Yeah, and that's not an easy pitch to handle at all. And still gets it done.
Rays coming in to hit the bottom of the second, down by 2. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the second. What a top half of the inning for the Rays catcher Rene Rivera. High def highlights presented by H.H. Gregg.
Well, you're talking about Jacoby Ellsbury, tied for the lead in the American League in stolen bases. And Brett Gardner tied for third in the league in stolen bases, and he gets them on back-to-back plays. Outstanding work by the Rays catcher.
Since the start of last year, he's thrown out Over 31% of the runners attempting to steal. And he cut down 2 of the good ones here in this game tonight. Loney's had bad starts over. He was up there down 0-2 when Souza was picked off, and now it's 0-1. 1-1 as he faces big right-hander Nathan Eovaldi. Slice toward the line into foul territory, and Gardner is there to make the catch. Loney is the first out. Eovaldi, not surprising that this guy throws 95, 96, 97. He grew up in Alvin, Texas, the home of Nolan Ryan. Said growing up there, he said Ryan's presence was everywhere. Highways named after him, streets named after him, the whole thing.
And I would imagine if you don't hit certain thresholds at certain ages, they just force you to move. You can't come out of there without blowing gas.
Yeah, you can't just throw a little curveball, and change up, and then show a little fastball.
The cunny thumper.
No, can't do that.
You can't. You finesse guys, you move it on down the line.
Yeah.
There's another town that'll take you.
Here's Logan Forsythe now. Pitch outside, 1-0. We'll take a look at the average fastball velocity, and you see where these two guys stack up, Eovaldi and Archer.
Yep, lighting it up here tonight. Already we've seen both of them with big time heat. That fastball that Eovaldi was able to get Evan Longoria clocked at 97 at the knees.
2-0 pitch, skied straight away to center. Ellsbury waiting on this one. That was a fastball at 97. 2 gone. Eovaldi came out of Alvin High School with the idea that he was going to go to Texas A&M, but he was drafted by the Dodgers, and among others, Joe Torre had an influence on him signing and foregoing the collegiate experience. So he started his career in the Dodgers system. Up the left side, that's going to be out of the reach of Gardner. Strike 1 to David DeJesus.
And if you're Nathan Eovaldi, how frustrated are you? You know, you look at his major league numbers, he almost has twice as many losses as wins, considering that tremendous arm. And then just to add insult to injury, last year with the Miami Marlins, complete season, 33 starts. He finishes the year with 199 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah, really.
Come on. You can't get me in that last day. Leave me in for one more hitter to get to 200.
Foul back, 0-2.
That's one of the main goals any starting pitcher will tell you going into a season. I want to be a 200-inning plus guy, because if you make your starts 32, 33, you pitch 200 plus innings, that means you're pitching pretty deep every single time out, which means most of the other numbers then fall into place. The wins, the ERA, and out short.
Did he go? Oh, yes, he did, says Eric Cooper. And the Rays are out 1-2-3 in the bottom of the second inning. We'll go to break. You decide. Did he go? Guess he did. 2-0 New York. The exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and make long-lasting memories. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by contacting group sales at 888-FAN-RAISE. Leading off the third, Alex Rodriguez skies one to the right side. Forsythe in shallow right is out there. And one pitch, one out. Boy, Archer would be happy to get a low pitch inning under his belt. He made 32 pitches in the first inning, 16 in the second, which is right at where he's averaging this year.
Well, and if you look over his last two starts, they've covered 9 1/3 innings coming into this ball game. And in those starts, he was averaging over 21.5 pitches per. It goes back to that little mechanical issue that he has been fighting, leading to a lot of deep counts, a lot of heavy innings.
To strike to McCann. Yeah, that second inning against Texas he had in that outing, 44 pitches in one inning.
Boy, that's such a toll is taken early in a game with an inning like that.
Fly ball into right. Souza is there to make the catch. So 2 outs, 3 pitches into the inning. So far, so good. Well, look at the season split from April to May. Untouchable in April and still somehow lost 2 games.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, you know, it for me, and I think that Chris would feel the same way, it's not the stuff. It's just the issue of, in April, tall over the rubber, drifting towards home plate, hand on top, driving the ball downhill. The 2 starts in May, front side drifting early, hand can't catch up, stuff flattens out, stays up. He makes the adjustment, he'll be awesome.
Chop handled on the infield. So the Rays get that quick inning from Archer. 2-0 New York. Donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Asdrubal Cabrera will open the home half of the third. Then Brandon Guyer followed by Rene Rivera. Ball 1 away. Yankees have the shift on. Gregorius on the right side of second base.
Interesting. It's not the extreme shift, which is what you so often see with nobody on base. A lot of times you'll see this guy, second baseman's going to be a little bit further out there to be able to cover more ground. But with Cabrera at the plate, it's the back of the infield, the cut.
Now 3-0. He's facing Nathan Eovaldi. It's 3-1. Eovaldi's already had Tommy John surgery. That came when he was in high school in 2007. Liner into right. That will stay up and be caught by Beltran. So he had that surgery as a teenager in high school. Finished, eventually drafted by the Dodgers. Found himself with the Marlins and now in New York with the Yankees. He was 6-14 last year with a .437 earned run average. Curveball in the dirt. 1-0 the count on Brandon Guyer.
Well, it's consistency, because you can see why the Yankees would like this guy, wanted him in a trade. He's got a big time arm. He's got good stuff. If you can make it more consistent, you can make him into a winner.
Foul ball back. Mike Redmond over in Miami really thought highly of him and the ceiling, and you can see it with that kind of arm, number one. But it has, to this point, come down to consistency of his secondary pitches. That first pitch is pretty good, as we've seen already.
Yeah. You know, and that can go a long way towards setting up those secondary pitches, but up to this point, that's something that Eovaldi's not been able to do. But he's off to a better start this year with the Yankees.
It's a soft liner caught by the shortstop. Gregorius handles it off the bat of Guyer. 2 up and 2 down.
Trying to create some of that leverage before he comes through with the delivery. Boy, pitching such a violent action.
And there's nothing better than the Phantom Cam to make that point. Tapped by Rivera, handled by Drew. The Rays are up and down 1, 2, 3. We go to the 4th, 2-0 New York.
Kiermaier, who you just saw, is one of the many Rays that are going to be involved in one of the most entertaining nights of the 81 home game schedule we have here at the Trop. That's because tomorrow night is Rays broadcast auction night. I will be up in the Rays managerial offices auctioning off some incredible opportunities for baseball fans All the proceeds will be going toward the Rays Baseball Foundation, which benefits multiple Tampa Bay area charities. It's a wonderful chance for you to get involved, not only with Rays Baseball, but also with the community. As I mentioned, Kevin Kiermaier's involved. He'll have a hitting lesson package. Jake Odorizzi will have a pitching lesson package. And guys, I happen to know, for the record, one of the more popular items always bid on, the broadcaster package. You'll get to hang out with Dwayne, B.A., and TK.
Well, we're looking forward to all of those experiences. Tomorrow night's auction and the whole experience. Spending some time with the high bid winner.
Maybe putting them to work.
Now that's an idea. Give them a mic, give them a camera. Away we go.
Your notes?
Yeah.
Just anything but the little black book. No access to the little black book. That's all.
It's a combination lock on that book.
I know. I've tried to get into it.
Chase Headley here with the 2-2 count. Stephen Drew will be next. And a cut and a miss. Headley is out on strikes. This little slider takes care of him. Archer had retired him swinging with a fastball up the first time and went with the slider this time. That'll be Stephen Drew. Well, the auction benefits Rays charitable activities in the community, with 3 organizations being highlighted throughout the evening of the auction. The United Way Suncoast, Helios Education Foundation, and Big Brothers Big Sisters of Tampa Bay. To the count to Stephen Drew. We're in the 4th. The Yankees scored 2 in the first and had an opportunity for a very big inning. Archer gave up a couple of hits in the second, but 2 caught stealings back to back, with Rivera throwing out Ellsbury and Gardner Key. And then just a 5-pitch third for him. 2-2 to Drew on the heels of striking out Headley. Garrett Jones waits to be next. And Drew fouls it back. I'll tell you, last night, and we mentioned it during the broadcast, obviously you're impressed by the long ball, but the Yankees hit the ball hard all night, and what we've seen of them here early in this one, of course, the 3rd inning was pretty quick, and there's a nice strikeout on a slider, but they lost no time in going right to business in the 1st inning tonight.
And that's why coming out of that 1st inning was just giving up the 2 runs when the first 5 hitters in the Yankee lineup reach. That's why you felt pretty good about that. Now, can Chris Archer find it? Well, after the 2 back-to-back throwouts by Rene Rivera, a little pep in the step, and he's retired now 5 in a row and looked good doing it.
And fires a strike with a fastball into Jones.
It's all about making pitches, and you know, there was some talk, was Colomé tipping, you know, something like that. You know, Kevin Cash said, look, we looked at the video and it was just pitches out over the plate. They took advantage of it. And you run into those nights every now and then. You know, he could probably throw the same game tonight and give up 3 or 4 runs maybe, you know, because his command wasn't the best. But at the same time, the Yankees didn't miss a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those nights. They don't come around for this staff very often. So when they do, you go, oh, my gosh, what happened? Hey, you play 162 games of anything, you're going to have some clunkers.
Yeah, Colomé in his comments after the game said he felt good. Throwing the ball pretty good, but location, if you look at the location. Not exactly where he would want them upon closer examination. Ground ball, and it's off the glove, deflecting into shallow right. Longoria, a little glove on that one. Forsythe tried to corral it out there, but had no play. Jones has a base hit.
Boy, right off the thumb. Great effort there by Evan in the shift. And just not able to come up with it. Well, and what this allows the Yankees to do is get Gregorius to the plate. And even if Archer's able to retire him, guess who leads off next half?
Yeah. His chief nemesis, Jacoby Ellsbury. Gregorius on the ground. Great backhand stop. Throw to second. Forsythe teaming up with Cabrera to get the force at second and retiring the Yankees in the fourth inning in the process. Another look at this one. A little star by that one for Forsythe. 2-0 New York.
Batting practice, and we'll listen in as he talks about how he's a little too small to star in football.
I was number 60 in 5th grade as a running back. Let me show you what my main job was in grade school before I hit a growth spurt. Big old Dick Bucket shoulder pads. I'm running. You're scaring me, man. You caught both those with your forearm. Run one of them zigzag things. Zig and zag. Oh.
Wow. Kiermaier's bid for a hit, foiled, but pretty nice hands in football, guys.
Yeah, good hands by Kiermaier and a good catch by Gardner out there in left field, racing to the line. Kiermaier making a bid for an opening double, and well, you get the feeling that's what the Rays need. They need something like that to get the leadoff guy on and generate some excitement, some emotion here as they try to turn this season series around against the Yankees. It's been all Yankees. 1-0 to Steven Souza Jr. Souza reached on an infield hit in the first. That's the only base runner the Rays have had. And he was picked off first for the third out.
And very few pitches out of the stretch for Nathan Eovaldi. And you're right, you need to get somebody on base and start to pressure him just a little bit.
2 balls and a strike.
For the better part of the last 40-45 minutes, he's been in a good rhythm, just going out there, out of the windup, making pitches, getting quick outs.
He's had a little bit of a wrist wrap, and that sometimes is a concern for pitching coaches and managers with the pitchers.
You know who comes to mind when you think about wrist wrap?
Rick Sutcliffe.
There you go.
In my mind.
The worst one.
Yeah.
I mean, he curled that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You know, they talk about, well, it's something that hurts the consistency of your pitches. Well, there's one in there at 97, and he strikes out Souza. Hear some folks talk about a little added stress when you're doing that. Maybe your delivery's not as clean as you'd like it, but boy, Sutcliffe was really great and did that his whole career.
Well, you can see with Eovaldi when the ball comes out of the glove, how the arm really wraps. I mean, watch this thing as it comes out. Just pushes that thing way back before he starts his delivery towards home plate. Other guys are cleaner coming out of the glove, maybe a little bit more linear, but this is what works for him. It's tough to tell with the wrist how much he's actually curling it, but he's definitely getting it out of there, reaching its furthest point bank, snap, and then he starts forward.
1-1 to Evan Longoria. Two outs, base is empty. Inside. 2-1. Evan lifts it toward right center, and Ellsbury cuts over to make the catch. Rays out in the fourth. 2-0 New York. All season in 2015 with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Top of the order for New York. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. He's 2 for 2. Brett Gardner behind him is 2 for 2. Pitch is a strike. So the 2 hits tonight for Ellsbury gives him 12 for 17 in his career against Chris Archer. 1-1.
Well, when you get numbers like that off a pitcher like Chris Archer, it boils down to, number one, there's been some poor location, but Jacoby Ellsbury obviously sees the ball very well out of Archer's hand. You can even tell that some of the takes he's had. Like that, just not offering the fastball up. We've seen him be able to spit on the slider down. Not that he's perfect, but he just has a good read of the ball out of the hand.
And now it's 3-1 here. Archer behind in the count. It's Gardner on deck. The count goes to 3-2. Another 3-2 pitch must be made. 7-0 for New York, 1-0 for the Rays. Again, another 3-2 pitch must be made.
Jacoby Ellsbury forcing him to work, and you see what he's been able to do. 18 pitches now over the course of his 3 at-bats and counting.
And he got him, a cut and a miss on a 3-2 slider. He finally retires him and strikes him out.
And maybe of the 19 pitches that Ellsbury has seen, that was the worst as far as near the strike zone. A ball out of the hand, Ellsbury does not recognize that, and his eagerness to swing the bat. He takes a rip at a slider well into the dirt. Maybe the worm has started to turn for Mr. Archer.
Well, if that turns out to be the case, we should circle that at bat.
Yes, yes.
Brett Gardner. Pitch is a strike. Amazing how that works, from one hitter to another. For an example, Adam Jones of the Orioles, he's something like 2 for 17 against him. And here was Ellsbury with all these hits. A little tapper down the right side to first. Loney's got that. Gardner's the second out. Hard to explain sometimes. You get quality pitchers, quality hitters against each other.
You'll have a guy who's a future Hall of Famer that you'll absolutely own, and then a guy who's a fringe major leaguer that'll be, 6 for 10 off you with 3 bombs.
Yeah, the pitcher keeps him in the big leagues.
Right, right.
Alex Rodriguez cuts and misses. The slider, strike 1. Rodriguez walked his first time and popped out to Forsythe in the third at second base. This one grabbed by Forsythe. Logan had him on the shortstop side of second and made the play. Sharply hit. And Forsythe's glove up to the task. 1-2-3, go the Yankees. 2-0 New York. It's tomorrow's Wednesday night showdown presented by Mazda. The Rays again take on the Yankees. Our coverage begins at 6:30 here on Sun Sports, and Nathan Carnes will make the start for the Rays against Adam Warren. Carnes just continues to get better and better.
Well, he had 9 strikeouts his last time out against the Rangers over 7 innings.
He'll be out there tomorrow. 1-0 the count on James Loney. 2-0. Eovaldi has faced the minimum number of hitters through 4, 12. He gave up the infield hit to Souza in the first and picked him off. And Loney is ahead in the count, 3-0. And Archer has settled in after that 32-pitch first inning. He's made 49 over the next 4, so he's at 81 through 5. 3-1 on Loney.
And not too far off the target number, which would be 75, just a little bit above that. So he's gotten that pitch count right back in line.
Ground ball. It's Drew. He had him positioned in the outfield in shallow right, throws him out. And now Logan Forsythe. Logan had 3 hits in last night's game. They got him out on a line drive to right. He doubled in a run in the first, led off the 7th with a home run, and singled homer run in the 8th. He's taken over the lead and runs batted in this lineup with 15.
What about all the categories he leads this offense in? I'll tell you, big difference. He's gotten regular playing time, and boy, has he cashed in. He is really playing with a lot of confidence right now.
High chop, got a chance for a base hit here, and has one. Headley had to charge it and hope for the best, and that's a single for Logan Forsythe.
Boy, did you see him come out of the box? You know, hitter knows that he chopped that right into the ground, that high bounce, and he knew that he had a great chance at this being a hit. He sees it, and he is gone as quick as he can get the top end speed, and absolutely no play.
There, he's thinking hit all the way down the line.
He was correct.
David DeJesus. And the breaking ball, curveball. He takes it on the first pitch for a strike.
And that's a lot of times when you're going to see Eovaldi use that pitch. He doesn't throw it very often. When he does, the majority of the time, it's early in the count, first pitch, to do what he just did, jump out ahead 0-1.
A lot of hitters will take that curveball instead of trying to hit it. And suddenly you're ahead in the count, and now it's 0-2.
You know, a guy that throws his curveball, 8 to 10, 15, not even that much, but a guy that throws it such a low percentage, who does go up there and say, okay, I'm sitting first pitch hook and I'm going to let it rip? They don't. And so if you're able to throw a quality pitch in the zone, immediate 0-1. A lot of pitchers do it too.
Up and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cabrera on deck. He had more at bats than anybody in the Rays lineup against Eovaldi coming into this game. Cabrera, he was 1 for 6 off him. DeJesus fouls one, so he'll get a look at another pitch here. Tapper foul. An off-speed pitch. Trip to the mound, McCann. One on with one out. It's down and in. No attempt by DeJesus.
Trying to wrap that slider to the back foot. No smile, no swing.
Nope, not trying to sell it as much. I think that if he did, he had gotten away with something. Foul ball out of play. Nice battling at bat here for DeJesus against Eovaldi.
Nothing new for David DeJesus putting that bat together like this. And the key is, how is Eovaldi going to try to close him out? The off-speed stuff, you got to figure DeJesus will pull the fastball, especially if it's away. We've seen him use the other side of the field very effectively, and he's got quite the hole to work with over there.
Up the middle and out of the reach of Gregorius, and a base hit. Forsythe advances to second. On the line, singled by DeJesus, just out of the reach of the leaping Gregorius.
Yeah, that whole play looked goofy. It looked like Gregorius was going to have a real good shot to catch that. That sounded like it even cracked DeJesus's bat. But well, you'll see it right here. And just kind of a hop and then another hop. Not very rhythmic.
Two men on with one out, and here's Asdrubal Cabrera. Around his feet.
Boy, that was a really nice job back there by McCann on the backhand, because Logan Forsythe was smelling third base. Here's the breaking ball. And he's got a reach and backhand with Cabrera as interference.
So the Rays, for the first time tonight, have a runner in scoring position. Two men on at the same time with one out here in the bottom of the fifth. 2-0. Ground ball right side. Drew Gregorius won, and no play at first, so they get the force at second. So fielder's choice.
Gregorius had DeJesus bearing down on him. Drew tried to give him a hard feed. He's got to move a little bit to his left, spin, throw it hard, but DeJesus bearing down, and Gregorius just eats it.
You know, this ground ball, something we haven't seen many of those tonight from Eovaldi, but his track record shows that he can throw a ground ball.
Well, you look at, he has induced 5 double play ground balls. That would have been number 6.
Yep.
So yeah, he's got a history of that, but not too many tonight.
Well, Brandon Geyer, 2 outs, first and third. Blocked by McCann.
I'll tell you what, Eovaldi testing his catcher. It was the first pitch to Cabrera, the backhand of the breaking ball, and then this pitch with a runner on third. Forsythe. There's the split in front of the plate. Nice job by McCann to smother. And now he's going out to lecture him. Okay, enough of that.
Well, let's see if the Rays can take advantage of their first scoring opportunity. They're going to have to do it with 2 outs. That's a strike. It's 1-1. Eovaldi's pitch count has been so good. He's made 20 in this inning, and it's still just up to 58. Geyer missed that one. 1-2.
Now another breaking ball. This one well below the zone, and Brandon Geyer antsy like the rest of this. Actually, sorry, that was a split. But you see this Rays lineup looking to try and force the issue, make something happen. Eovaldi's held them in check all night.
Forsythe, the runner, at third. Cabrera is aboard at first. Cut and a miss. Geyer missed the fastball up. Rays lead 2. Trail by 2. Together in the first and settling for 2 runs. The first one on Brian McCann's base hit, and then Carlos Beltran singled into right, scoring Brett Gardner with the second run of the inning. They left them loaded, and Nathan Eovaldi has shut down the Rays on just 3 hits with 4 strikeouts along the way.
Well, they pushed him just a little bit there in the bottom of the 5th, but he was able to pitch his way out of it. A nice ending 2 pitches to Geyer. When you look back on that, the split below the zone, the fastball above, and he escapes.
Brian McCann will open the 6th, followed by Beltran and Headley. Big shift on for the New York catcher. That's a strike.
Mr. Forsythe out there getting some time in right field.
2. Archer making his 8th start of the year. Came in with a 3-4 record and a .259 earned run average.
Usually that combination does not go together.
Nope.
You're rolling out a 2.5. you do not have a losing record. He's pitched in some tough games, had some tough losses.
And he gets McCann, strikes him out. Strikeout number 6 tonight for Archer.
Slider up. Not exactly the way that you would draw it up, but the result, you like that.
Carlos Beltran singled in a run in the first. Takes a strike to begin this at bat in the 6th inning. Here's have the shift on for him. Longoria on the right side of the second base bag and Forsythe in right field. Way upstairs.
Testing the limits on how far Beltran will go.
Right field. Souza makes the catch. 2 up, 2 down. Chase Headley will go for 2 tonight. It's 11 out of 12 retired by Archer. He faces Headley with 2 outs and the base is empty. That's a strike. Yankees right now to the halfway point of their hit total. Last night they had 11 runs and 14 hits. And the top 4 men in their order went 9 for 19 with 7 runs batted in, 5 home runs. Cabrera back to second, takes care of that. Headley's out. So are the Yankees. That's 6 innings under Chris Archer's belt. Fine recovery after the troubling first inning when he limited the damage to just 2. Two nothing Yankees. We go to the Rays half of the 6th, and tonight's great moment presented by Geico. Happy birthday the Hall of Famer Yogi Berra, 10-time World Series champion, Hall of Famer, MVP, and spokesperson to the masses. Want to know the count to Rene Rivera. Some of the great Yogi-isms.
I saw that they put out a top 10 list of those.
Yep.
And I'm not even kidding you. I got through about the first 4 or 5, and it was already wheezing. Like they just,
yeah.
Like you'd have to have some help to come up with those. It's too good.
Just the way he was.
Too good.
Ground ball to short. Gregorius up with it. The throw to first. And a couple of catchers come out of St. Louis, the Hill in St. Louis. Joe Garagiola and Yogi Berra were childhood friends, and they both said they weren't even the best catchers in the neighborhood. A little hard to believe. I mean,
those are some tough neighborhood games.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's some great Yogi-isms about, you know, the favorite restaurant he never attends, never goes there anymore. Nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded.
That was one of my favorites too.
Yep. Strike the count to Kevin Kiermaier. Chopped down to first. So Kiermaier's out. 90% of the game is half mental.
Wayne, you told me there would be no math.
Well, apparently, according to Yogi, there is no math. Maybe the best one is you can observe a lot just by watching. Steven Souza Jr. It's upstairs. A ball, no strikes. Souza had a base hit, an infield hit in the first. Forsythe a chopping infield hit in the fifth, and then DeJesus got a liner into center over the head of Gregorius. And that's been it for the Rays tonight. 2-1 the count on Souza. .98 with that pitch, which is high of the night. 2-2. And strike 3. He drops that one in there. The slider to get Souza looking. On to the 7th, 2-0 New York.
I like Florida, but there's too many things down here that can bite you. Don't try to be. Hey, anything you want to say to the kids about Kevin Kiermaier at home? Okay.
No.
All right. Homer, could you grow facial hair this nice? My buddy's dad doesn't grow facial hair, and he says, someone says, hey, you don't grow out your beard. He said, nah, facial hair doesn't grow on steel.
Stephen Drew leads off the 7th. There's Kevin Kiermaier. We offer him thanks for wearing that mic during batting practice and soliciting some comments from his team and coaches.
And the problem with steel, it's just not porous enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it.
I know you do. Foul ball back into the screen. 1-2. Had some insightful comments from Tom Foley. He just said no.
Just to the point.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of gray area with Mr. Foley.
Yep.
Especially now. You know, bench coach. You got to make decisions. You got to make them quick. Quick advice.
He's preoccupied with other things. Look at Archer. Look out. Archer hustling over there, and Rivera wound up sliding out in front of the dugout. And it's a foul ball. You know, and Chris Archer had a chance at this, but when Rene Rivera slides, he gets out of the way. Not all the way. And then see that little... Had a chance. Both of them had to go a long way. Tough play. A little hesitation right there when he saw Rivera coming. Yeah. Out of the side. You're going to defer. You know, you want to defer to your position player, but he sees him out of the corner of his eye. Then he sees him sliding at his feet. It's like, hey, I thought we were on the same team. Yeah, then the railing of the dugout's coming up. You don't necessarily want your pitcher running into the railing of the dugout either. Xavier Cedeno is now throwing for the Rays. There's a cut and a miss. Drew out on strikes. It's number 7 for Archer here. 1 out in the 7th inning. Now he's started to get this slider down in the zone. This one, he's able to throw that pitch out over the plate because of the depth. You know, a lot of guys have to sweep their slider, so they try to back foot it. Chris Archer able to throw that thing right out over the plate and know that it's going to get really good depth right down to the dirt. That's 13 out of 14 hitters retired. Here Jones hits one into left center, and that is out number 2 as Geyer puts it away. So 14 out of 15 now. Tomorrow is the annual Rays broadcast auction. Tune in for an opportunity to bid on exclusive experiences. Proceeds benefit the Rays Baseball Foundation and Tampa General Hospital Foundation. For more information, visit raysbaseball.com/broadcast auction. There you can preview what will be up for bid. Rays up. That's a strike to Gregorius. Always a lot of great items, packages. Well, a lot of high-level meetings. It's the only place you can get some of those. That's right. Fastball by him. That one at 96 from Archer. A ball, 2 strikes. What a troublesome beginning of this game for Archer, but he has really settled in. Gregorius fouls it out of play. 14 out of 15, 2 outs, bases empty in the 7th. Somehow he found himself in big trouble and got his way out of it in the first, limiting the damage to 2, and he uses the slider to strike out Gregorius. 2-0 New York. Sports brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Grow Financial, don't go through life, grow through life with Grow Financial Federal Credit Union. And by Courtesy Toyota, you'll love what we do for you. Evan Longoria leading off the home half of the seventh. Breaks his bat and lifts a fly ball shallow left, going to fall in front of Gardner. And the Rays have the leadoff hitter on. First time they've done that tonight in any inning.
Well, first of all, you're right about that. Second of all, it gets Eovaldi into the stretch. You know, maybe that little fluke can get things going because you've got Betances and Miller lurking as we get late into this ball game. And this ball jams Evan, but he's strong enough to drop it out there in front of Gardner. And here you go. Here's your chance.
James Loney. He takes a strike. Loney 0 for 2 on the night.
Boy, but you get James Loney late in a game that's close, where his at bat is huge, which this is, and he really will lock it in.
Two. "26-year-old right-hander Nathan Eovaldi still has made only 73 pitches, working on his second hitter in the 7th inning. Loney checks on a pitch down.
Well, he's been going with the split here against Loney, and this one able to hold up. Good take. Got to battle, got to fight here. This is where using the whole field really is a plus, a benefit for James Loney. He can try to flip something in there.
It's fouled. And a fastball in the mid-90s. Logan Forsythe on deck. He has swung a good bat in recent times. Ground ball right side off the mitt of Jones. He'll recover. Make the toss to Eovaldi covering. And Longoria moves up to second.
Number 11, Logan Forsythe.
Well, just enough by Garrett Jones to slow this down as he comes off the bag. Being left-handed helps also as he dives, keeps it close, and then the flip to the pitcher covering.
So the Rays get a man at second base. Second time tonight they've had a man in scoring position. That man was Logan Forsythe in the 5th, and he steps in here in the 7th. Logan 1 out of 2. One ball, no strikes. Balls, no strikes, a curveball. Now 3-0. Another breaking pitch that missed.
Not giving in to Logan Forsythe, understanding that he's seeing the ball well, swinging the bat well. 3 straight out of the zone to Jesus lurking.
Logan had 3 hits last night, including a home run. Up 3-0 in the count. And he takes ball 4. So the first walk given up by Eovaldi sets up first and second. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. The pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealer. We'll have the Rays broadcast auction tomorrow. And we'll hear from Nathan Carnes, who will be doing the pitching for the Rays tomorrow night. He'll be opposed by Adam Warren. Now David DeJesus. Well, 2 men on, and the Rays have the potential go-ahead runner at the plate. And he takes ball 1.
And you'll notice all of a sudden where Eovaldi was able to jump out ahead of these Rays hitters with early in the count off speed, now falling behind.
Foul. It's going to be out of play. Takes the count to 1-1. The Rays change the makeup of the bullpen right now with this situation developing. 2 men on, 1 out. And Cedeno down there, and he's still there. But Kevin Jepson is up now in the Rays bullpen. This one skips by, advancing both men into scoring position. A slider in the dirt. Over to third goes Longoria. Forsythe into second.
Boy, this pitch just really took off on Eovaldi.
That's a split.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been acting like a slider all night. There have been numerous times you're fooled by that pitch until you see those fingers, but that ball just cut all the way across the plate off the glove of McCann.
So it's now 2-1. With 2 men in scoring position and a base hit up the middle. Longoria scores. Forsythe comes to the plate, and the Rays have tied it. David DeJesus comes through.
Well, this was your inning that you really needed to make something happen. It's another split. Late break, late drop on that, and DeJesus, he's seen a number of them already, right off the side of the mound, and just like that, the Rays have tied this thing up.
Well, you talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. That wild pitch putting both men into scoring position, and on the very next pitch, DeJesus right there to send it up the middle.
Boy, this offense has been dormant all night off Eovaldi, and it gets down late, crunch time, the heart of the order comes through.
Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach on the hill, spending some time. Justin Wilson, hard-throwing left-hander, up in the bullpen. DeJesus at first, and Asdrubal Cabrera will be the hitter, and he has more at-bats than anybody in the Rays lineup against Eovaldi. 0 for 2 tonight and 1 for 8 in his career. First pitch is a strike. Fastball on the inner part of the plate.
There's some chirping coming from the Rays dugout on that pitch, and you can even see Cabrera ask, was that a strike on the call or my check swing?
Jesus stays on the bag. Look at the location of that pitch. Hot shot in and out of the net. Jones hustles to get to the bag, and he beats Cabrera in. Boy, he was really scrambling. Garrett Jones. He had a double play, looking himself right there if he can hang on to it, but it was off his mitt. And now DeJesus is in scoring position.
Well, coming off the bag, a hot shot off the glove, then he goes down, able to tag that bag as Cabrera slides in. Boy, he had it. That ball got on him so quick, though, but the recovery was there. There's the tag of the bag.
So there's David DeJesus at second with 2 outs, and it's Brandon Guyer against Eovaldi. The pitch is a strike. Starts him with a slider. Guyer lined out to the shortstop Gregorius in the third, and then struck out on a fastball up in the fifth. Cut and a miss. Fastball. Slider fastball, and the count is 0-2. Popped up. Foul ball, and that's going to be out of play. Kevin Jepson now by himself in the bullpen. Low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. DeJesus trying to catch the attention of Eovaldi. 2 outs in this inning. That's Rene Rivera on deck. And DeJesus trying to be as distracting as he can make himself out there.
You need one mistake. One mistake, and the Rays potentially could take the lead here.
Little tapper down to third. Headley's throw is in time, and the Rays are finished in the 7th. But they scored 2 on the base hit by David DeJesus, chasing home Evan Longoria and Logan Forsythe. We go to the 8th, and we are tied 2-2. Look at our Toyota trends for Chris Archer. Trouble in the first, but boy, he locked it in after that.
Boy, he really did. The first 5 hitters for the Yankees in this game reached base. 2 of them scored. As you can see right here, this was looked like it could be really rough for the Rays early on, but then he dialed in. He got out of that bases loaded, nobody out, 2 runs already in, and then went to work. And I'll tell you, the slider below the zone was a big pitch for him here tonight in neutralizing this Yankee lineup and allowing his team to hang around. Then all of a sudden, in the bottom of the 7th, they explode for 2 quick runs, and we're all tied up, baby.
Archer retired 15 of the last 16 men he faced. Gives way to Kevin Jepsen, 0-2, on for the 15th time. He faces Jacoby Ellsbury. It's a roller and is a fair ball. Loney makes the pickup and steps on the bag, and Girardi's going to come out. And Sonia down at first made the call, and that ball did appear to take a couple of hops on both sides of the line and come back fair. And Girardi, after talking with the plate umpire,
well, good luck getting a definitive view of this. And even if you do, I mean, you're going to have a first base umpire right here that's calling it over the bag. Let's see. I mean, there's nothing clear and convincing. Don't even waste your time. That's an out.
You see Hamari was shaking his head as Sonia made the call. A little gathering joined by Eric Cooper, the crew chief. And at the end of the day, that's a fair ball, and Ellsbury is out. Well, there you go. The ineligible for video reviews, fair and foul in the infield are trap plays, in this case fair or foul. So you can't challenge it for review.
Very definitive too, as you saw how they threw up that check plus. Just a check.
Brett Gardner, and the pitch is in there for a strike. You could see the first base umpire looking around Loney, who was making the play at the time. One and one to count. Two balls and a strike to count. So Jepson gets Ellsbury. And a little hopper down the right side. Now 3 balls and a strike. Matanzas up in the bullpen. Ball 4 will put a Yankee runner at first with 1 out and got Alex Rodriguez up there.
Well, obviously keep your eye on Gardner. Good speed. Already been thrown out here once tonight.
Yeah, apparently the first time Ellsbury and Gardner have been thrown out as teammates in the same game. And it happened back to back in the 2nd inning. So Gardner was 10 of 13 in stolen base attempts. You see Rodriguez 1 out of 12 against Jepson. First pitch in there for a strike. Opening fastball.
And as we saw the lead there from Brett Gardner, kind of a standard lead. You can get a good read on the cut right here where a hitter's lead is. A lot of times they'll straddle that. If the left foot gets to it, that's a big lead. That right there, just a standard lead.
And Jepson shooting for the corner. Didn't get the call. And it's 1-1. A little wide right there. Gardner back in. Well, a tie game, 2-2 in the top of the 8th tonight. Quick little move over there. He's back in.
Just let them know that you're thinking about them.
There's a strike. Got the fastball and the call.
Well, continuing to shoot for that outside corner, missed it the previous pitch, and right here he's able to just clip that corner.
Just a little bit closer with that one.
Raised seams on that ball.
High foul, that'll play. Alex Rodriguez had a couple of hits last night, including a first inning home run. Foul again. Another fastball.
Well, so far they've stayed with the hard stuff here against Alex Rodriguez. 5 straight heaters. Does he even think about going to the curveball? He's got a hard, good curveball. Try to sweep that down and away and get a chase.
On the fastball, and Alex Rodriguez didn't like the call.
Yeah, waited the entire at bat for a mistake, and Jepson never made it. He just continued to put those pitches in good spots, all or nothing, up in the count and right to the edge once again. Everything away.
So big strikeout for Jepson. 2 outs in the 8th. Brian McCann is now the hitter. And he starts him with the curveball. McCann looks at it for a strike.
Right now, he is 1 pitch ahead of everybody. Keep it that way.
A couple of plate appearances for McCann against Jepson. 0 for 1 with a walk. So Gardner back in over there. 10 steals on the year. Yankees have been a combination of power and some speed this year. Most of that coming from the top of the order. Ground ball. Anceloni. He steps on the bag to retire the side. No runs, a walk, and a man left. We're tied. Middle of the 8th, 2-2. leads off the bottom of the 8th in this tie game, and he takes a big cut trying to break the tie on that fastball, and he missed it. Strike one. Rivera 0 for 2, a couple of ground ball outs against Eovaldi. It's 1-1. And our game summary brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. A 2-2 tie, Eovaldi and Archer, the pitching matchup, and it turned out to be a very good pitching matchup after a tough first inning for Chris Archer. 1-2 to Rivera.
He settled down. The Rays were able to get to Eovaldi late, looking to try to finish him off here.
And Rivera is out on strikes, chasing the slider. We'll go back around to the top of the order. So here is Kevin Kiermaier. He takes a pitch outside. Mark Teixeira has taken over at first base for the Yankees here in the 8th inning. Two balls, no strikes, curveball. It's 3-0. Betances back up. They had the left-hander Wilson up, but now Betances up again. And ball 4. Kiermaier heads to first. Well, our T-Mobile game changer, and in many ways it's the game ender with these guys, Betances and Miller. That's been a shutdown combination.
I mean, do the math. 35 innings, no earned runs given up. Go along with 56 strikeouts in those 35 innings. These two have been unstoppable.
Second walk by Eovaldi. First walk, the Rays turned that into the tying run. Steven Souza Jr. looks at a strike. Over to first. Kiermaier back in. Eovaldi picked off Souza in the first inning, who had reached an infield hit way back then. Eovaldi has just walked Kiermaier. Soft liner, just out of the reach of Drew. Kiermaier is going to go to third. First and third for the Rays with one out. Boy, that little line drive softly hit. Somehow out of the reach of Stephen Drew.
Well, you know, you just wonder. It looked up here that Stephen Drew, if he backs up his angle, he could have played this on a hop, and he's going straight for the catch, and it just eludes him. I mean, you got to make that decision so quick, and he is not able to get there, and that's big, big trouble for the Yankees. Kiermaier, he's on his horse. He's getting to third.
So the Rays set up men at first and third. Pitching change coming. We'll be back in a moment. Well, the Rays have men at first and third. Minder coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd, Doug, and Orestes anchoring the coverage. We'll have Kevin Nash's press conference, Rich Hollenberg with interviews from the clubhouse. A full roster on the postgame show. Here's Evan Longoria lifting a fly ball deep to center. Ellsbury's going to have to go back. Kiermaier tags, and here comes the go-ahead run. Rays lead 3-2. Well, that didn't take long. Dylan Betances into the game, and a fly ball on the first pitch, giving the Rays the lead.
Yeah, there's no reason to wait around. Dylan Betances is on a streak of the last 41 hitters he has faced. He's punched out 22, so more than half. And so Evan Longoria, first pitch that he sees, it was elevated. He gets it to the outfield, and the Rays snatch the lead.
Here's James Loney. Pitch is down and in.
Well, you know, Joe Girardi had Dylan Betances up in the last half inning, and you almost get the feeling he got greedy, trying to get one more inning out of Eovaldi. And now on the hook for this one. The Rays can close it.
That run charged to Eovaldi.
That's a tough night. You go 6 scoreless, a tight game. You give up 2 in the 7th, and then you come out only to watch one of your runners come across to give the other team the lead. But the Rays, they just hung in there all night. You can go back to Chris Archer, the job that he did to keep this team close.
Runner goes, pitch is down, and no throw. Souza steals second base. For Steven Souza, his 5th stolen base of the year.
Well, you could be more aggressive with the lead, and look at it. Gets out there, but a very good jump. No throw.
Well, now they're going to walk Loney. Loney ahead in the count 3-0. The fact that he is 3 for 6 with a couple of doubles against Betances. They say, look, we're not even going to fool with him anymore. An intentional walk. Don't miss tomorrow's Wednesday night showdown presented by Mazda when the Rays meet the Yankees. Our coverage begins at 6:30 right here on Sun Sports. And here's Logan Forsythe. Two outs, 2 men on. This one skips past McCann. Now both men are in scoring position. Souza winds up at third. Loney follows into second base. Breaking ball in the dirt. Wild pitch.
Right through the legs of Brian McCann, right out of the hand. The breaking ball down, stays down, skips through.
For Forsythe, a strikeout and a walk in 2 plate appearances against Betances. And Betances throws him a strike, 1-1. Boy, how big a base hit would be here. Into the dirt. McCann can't find it. Souza's going to score. And the Rays have a 2-run lead. McCann was looking everywhere. Couldn't find it. And Souza scores standing up.
With the jump that Souza got off third base, I don't care if he would have found it. It wouldn't have mattered. This ball, another breaking ball down. It hits off the mask, and it got far enough away that Souza was off and running. And even if he scrambles after that, watch this jump right here by Souza Jr. He's already gone. There's no chance.
So it's a 4-2 ball game. Forsythe tried to hold up there and could not. Two. Forsythe fouls it back. So 4 runs charged to Evaldi. And there's strike 3 called. So Forsythe caught looking. The Rays come up with 2 to take a 4-2 lead on to the 9th. Information on to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com and buy your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Rays have taken a 2-run lead. Tied it with 2 in the 7th, grabbed the lead with 2 in the 8th. Brad Boxberger comes in for the 14th time this year. Jepson is the pitcher of record, and Boxberger is trying to close it out.
Well, 8 out of 8 saves, ERA of 1.50, 18 strikeouts in 12 innings of work.
And a cut and a miss by Carlos Beltran. Strike 1, the 9th inning underway. Two. Well, Longoria goes to the right side of second, and Cabrera back to the shortstop side. Into short right. Sousa is there, 1 away. Boxberger last pitched Saturday in the Rays' 7-2 win over Texas. He came into that game in the 9th inning with the bases loaded and 1 out and got the last 2 outs. Here's Chase Headley. Strike call. Headley, a couple of strikeouts and a ground ball. And he swings over that one. Change up. 0-2.
Such a challenging at bat with Boxberger because you got the fastball that he can get into the mid-90s. You have the change up that's a huge change in velocity. And by the way, he's been throwing the curveball this year. That's been a very effective pitch for him.
Just a little piece of that when he stays alive with a foul ball. 1-2, the pitch away. And another foul ball. This one back into the screen. Well, the Rays with those 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th. Betances came in with 2 men on. Both scored. Before tonight, he had allowed 3 of 11 inherited runners to score. Both managed to score tonight. Soft little fly ball dropping into center field. Just more of a soft humpback liner. And Headley's aboard.
That was a really nice at-bat by Chase Headley. Not very good contact, but with what Boxberger was featuring here, it's the changeup. This pitch never on the plate, but look at him go out there and cover that pitch down and away. Trying to stay alive. Puts the ball into play, and it falls in for him.
Now a man on with 1 out, and Stephen Drew, who is 0 for 3, becomes the hitter. He breaks his bat and sends a fly ball into shallow right. Souza's there to make the catch. 2 outs here in the 9th. And the hitter's going to be Mark Teixeira, who entered the game replacing Garrett Jones at first base in the 8th. So he'll bat here in the 9th.
Well, he had a home run to the opposite field in last night's game. He's got 11 on the season.
And he's really been extra base hit or nothing.
Well, and that goes right to the approach and the swing. He's got that severe uppercut swing. He's been mashing mistakes, but you can see by the average he can be pitched to.
Boxberger trying to get the final out in a 2-run ball game. And there is the curveball. Starts the at bat, and it's a strike. And he reaches, lifting a pop fly into left. Geyer's there. Rays win it. Brad Boxberger on to close it out, and the Rays with 2 in the 7th and 2 in the 8th defeat the New York Yankees tonight. It's a 4-2 final, and the Rays win their 18th game of the year. Jepson's going to get the win. A save for Boxberger. Vivaldi will take the loss. And a big victory for the Rays after last night's loss in the opening game of this 4-game series. And boy, Chris Archer getting out of that first inning when the first 5 men reached and holding the Yankees to only 2 and then nothing the rest of the way. Among Archer for 7, Jepson for 1, and Boxberger for 1. The Rays hang around long enough to win this one 4-2.